Let's talk about whether or not a brand owner can change a trademark. And shout out, this question comes from Tim Carr on Twitter. And if you have topics you'd like to see covered in future videos or podcasts, please tweet at me at TM for Small Biz, and I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. So brands often evolve over time, and sometimes brand names or logos do change or evolve. Sometimes the changes are subtle, like Coke at one point was evolving into New Coke. Sometimes they're more dramatic when a brand shifts its name entirely, or when two companies merge and Exxon becomes ExxonMobil, for example. So brand names do evolve over time. But what I want to talk about now is trademark filings and whether or not the marks in those filings can change. And the answer is generally no. So when a trademark application has been filed at the USPTO or registered at the USPTO, generally only very, very small changes will be allowed. If the change amounts to what's called a material alteration, which means that, in essence, an examiner would have to do a new search to redetermine whether or not there's any conflicts. If that change does amount to a material alteration, or a proposed change, then it will not be allowed. So the type of change that might be permitted would be to drop the word "the," or to change a space between two words to a hyphen, something very small, rather insignificant. But generally, adding or deleting a word or making any kind of other change to the mark is going to jeopardize the filing and require a new filing. So when brands do undergo those more significant changes, they will generally have to file a new trademark application to cover and make sure it's protected going forward with the proper new iteration of the brand. There is one type of change that's very interesting that sometimes can be allowed, and that is a change to the description of goods and services in a registration. And that change is allowed if technology has brought about a change to make it so that the way a mark was used years ago is no longer the way it's used. A great example of this is records or phonographs, which, although now are trendy and back in style, many music publishers no longer make records. If they have a registration that covers records, they may be allowed to update that registration to cover digital sound recordings or other forms of musical recordings. That's also a good reminder just to think about how your goods and services are described, to try to describe them in a way that hopefully won't go out of date, and then the registrant won't have to worry about that issue. So those are some of the ways that a trademark and a trademark registration can be changed and generally cannot be changed. And again, I want to thank Tim for raising a very interesting question on Twitter.